Welcome to Heart of Texas Histories and Mysteries. I'm your host, Em, coming to you as always from deep in the heart of Texas. Today, we'll be traveling to the North Texas community of Terrell to discuss the legend of Clara Crane, also known as the Candy Lady. Now, before I begin, let me just give a disclaimer that because this is a legend, none of the details I'm about to tell you have been substantiated. Nothing I tell you in this story should be taken as fact. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. According to most versions of this story, Clara was born in 1871 and married an older man named Leonard. Together, they had one child, a daughter named Marcella. Sadly, Marcella died at the age of 5 in an accident on the family farm, despite being under Leonard's supervision. Clara later discovered that Leonard had been intoxicated when this accident occurred, and she blamed him for their little girl's death. As the story goes, she harbored her resentment for 2 years before she snapped. One day in 1895, Clara offered Leonard a helping of his favorite sweet treat, some caramel candy. Little did Leonard know, Clara had laced this caramel candy with poison. Leonard died from eating this candy, and authorities eventually discovered his body on the property. Clara was arrested, and after being tried and being found guilty but insane, she was sent to the North Texas Lunatic Asylum. While there, she supposedly fashioned a doll out of torn bedsheets and named it Marcy, after her daughter. She sang and talked to this doll and may have believed that it actually was her daughter. A letter she is said to have written to her sister made it clear that she believed that Marcella was still alive, in one form or another. The letter read, "Dearest Aggie, I am elated. I have been informed by Dr. Matthews that Marcy and I will be returning home in less than 3 weeks. As you can imagine, Marcy can barely contain her excitement. Every night she asks, 'Is tomorrow the day when we go home, Mother?' Very soon I will be able to tell her yes. Our stay here has been somewhat of a trial, though I have been grateful to the good doctor and his staff in their dedication to our treatment and recovery. Leonard's death had put us in such a severe state of melancholy that I feared we would never escape it. These past few years have been more difficult than any in my life. And my dear Marcella, after all that she has had to endure, has become my strength, my flame of hope." The facility had become overcrowded, and despite being found guilty of murder, Clara apparently had a soft and timid demeanor that convinced the powers that be that she was not a threat to the public. So she was released in 1899. Some say that no one ever saw or heard from her again. But others say that the fatal poisoning of her husband had only been her first crime, and that she went on to find more victims and to earn herself the nickname of the Candy Lady. It's said that around 1903, children mysteriously began disappearing from Clara's neck of the woods. Rumors swirled that the mothers of these children found candy wrappers on the children's bedroom windowsills. Some of the candy wrappers apparently had notes written on them or placed next to them, inviting the children to come out into the woods and play. Supposedly, a farmer was out working in his fields when he discovered what appeared to be a child's rotten teeth inside of a candy wrapper. A little boy's body was later found nearby in a ditch. His pockets were full of candy wrappers, and someone had stabbed him in the eyes with a fork. Other versions of the story state that a sheriff's deputy who was assigned to investigate all of the disappearances went missing himself, only to be found in a ditch with candy wrappers in his pockets and his eyes stabbed with a fork. According to local lore, there were also children who did not go missing, but told their parents that they had found candy waiting for them on their windowsills. A few children admitted to eating the candy that had been left for them and said that they hadn't told their parents about it sooner because they wanted to keep receiving treats from the mysterious visitor. The strange happenings are said to have gone on for about a decade before they suddenly stopped. The word around Terrell was that Clara Crane and the Candy Lady were one and the same, and that she had kidnapped and killed the children she had managed to lure away from their homes. Some people said that she took her victims to a shack somewhere in the middle of the woods. Other people said that Clara Crane, aka the Candy Lady, was actually a witch or some other supernatural being who presented herself as an ordinary woman to reel her targets into her clutches. It's possible that Clara Crane, her husband Leonard, and their daughter Marcella were real people who lived in the Terrell area long ago. But it's impossible to know how or when Clara's story morphed into the legend that it did. The classic tale of Hansel and Gretel could have been the inspiration behind Terrell's Candy Lady story. After all, if there's one lesson to be learned from both stories, it's that you should never trust a stranger, no matter how sweet the person may seem. So there you have it, the legend of Candy Lady Clara Crane. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, y'all.